So I got a little over ambitious. Yeah, it turns out trying to write 50,000 words for the first time ever in your whole life, and also trying to vlog every single day of that experience, while it's also the holidays and you have 3 kids and you're running 2 businesses, and also you have a lot of mental health struggles, it turned out to be a little too much.
If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Megan. I am a published nonfiction author with my book, Welcome to ADHD, How to Survive and Thrive as an Adult with Autism and ADHD, like me. And I am an aspiring novelist. I'm currently working on a contemporary fiction novel about the astrological signs come to life here on Earth and their journey to get back to the astral plane. So speaking of my novel, which I am calling Project Star Stuff, let's talk about how November went. First and foremost, no, I did not hit 50,000 words in November, not even remotely close. In fact, I just checked my track bear, and instead of 50,000 words, I actually wrote 15,000 words, which, to be fair to me, is still the most words I have ever written in a month, but was definitely very, very shy of my goal of 50,000. And unfortunately, that has put me completely off schedule for hoping to get the book finished by the end of the year, which now there is literally no way. You'll also probably notice that my vlogs started out as daily and then got inconsistent and then just dropped off completely. I think I just bit off more than I could chew, if I'm being honest. Like, anytime you do something for the first time, it's going to be really stressful and really hard. Like, even harder than whatever goal it is you're setting, because you're doing it for the first time, right? And you have no evidence that you can do this. And so I think I was dealing with that with the writing. And then I was trying to vlog all of it when I'm relatively new to vlogging. Like, I have another YouTube channel called the Neurocuriosity Club. It's all about autism and ADHD and neurodivergence. But a lot of my videos over there are talking heads. I do some vlogs in my YouTube membership over there, but vlogging is still pretty new to me. And I think I was just feeling a lot of pressure to make progress when I wasn't, and to be interesting when I wasn't, and to have good lighting and cool shots when I wasn't doing anything that would involve a cool shot. And something about having to film yourself making your coffee every day is like exhausting to me in a weird way. And I know that's goofy. It's like, it's so easy and simple, like just pull out the camera and film it while you do it. But like I have ADHD. And a key part of ADHD is something called executive dysfunction, which is where you know what you want to do, you know what you have to do, and it's like there's a brick wall in between you and the activity. For me, when I'm making coffee, there's not a brick wall, because I want the coffee so badly, and because it's become part of my ritual, and because it's relatively easy, you know? So there's no brick wall. But when I introduce filming, it's like I'm introducing friction. So maybe not a whole brick wall, but I'm like building a fence in the way. And like, yeah, I can always hop the fence, but like, why am I gonna make my life harder like that? And I'm not trying to use my ADHD as like an excuse for why I can't vlog. I don't think that's true. I think my ADHD sometimes gives me really brilliant and creative ideas for vlogs. So I'm not saying it's like this reason I can't, but it is a reason it is sometimes difficult. Also, I know everyone and their mother is complaining about this, but it's also a lot harder to vlog when it gets dark at 4 p.m. Like, I can't vlog during the day, during the week, because I have a job and I'm busy and I'm working. I can't film at night because the lighting is horrific, although we're doing it anyway tonight. I can't really film on the weekends because I'm hanging out with my kids, and I'm just like, when am I supposed to, like, it's hard enough to find time to write. It is so much harder to find time to vlog and write. And I feel like so far this video is me just like kind of shitting on what it's like to be a content creator who's also a writer, and that's not what I want to do. I love making content about everything. I love, because my job during the day is a content creator and life coach for people who are autistic and ADHD, and I love that. And I also love creating content about writing, and I love that part of my job, but I think it is sometimes difficult and not in like what is difficult really. Like, if I look at my grandpa who dropped out of school in 8th grade to go get a factory job and become a welder and run the farm, like, is content creation really all that hard? Probably not, but it's challenging in different ways, you know? Like, my grandpa had to do incredibly difficult physical labor. He had to do a lot of like had to have a lot of mechanical knowledge and a lot of knowledge about animals and plants and all this stuff. And like, that is so difficult. And also, like, my job is just difficult in another way. This is something I'm working on, getting away from this hierarchy of like some people work harder than others. We're all living through late stage capitalism. We're all working 10 times harder than we should have to. And so let's just all have a little grace for each other and maybe for ourselves. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to complain. I just think it was harder than I expected it to be, which sounds silly, like I should have known. But writing for me is so fun. Like, it is genuinely so fun. So when I hit that kind of like little mini, I hesitate to even call it burnout, but like this little like bump in the road that kept me from writing and achieving my goals because I kind of bit off more than I could chew. When I hit that, I didn't know what to do because up to this point, like writing my novel has been purely fun. Like, I have not had any major crash outs about it.
Am I even a good writer? Like,
I'm sure those are coming, but they haven't hit yet. And I wasn't having any issues writing. I wasn't having any like motivation issues or any like struggles with, is this even fun? Is this even worth it? I was just enjoying it. And then I started filming and pushing myself to hit a certain word count, and it stopped being fun. And here's the thing my husband will tell you about me is that if it's not fun, I am not gonna do it. Like, straight up won't. And this doesn't mean that I'm like this horrible, selfish person who only does fun things, I promise. It means that I have learned to incorporate fun things into the non-fun things in my life in order to make them fun so that I can actually do them. It's part of my ADHD. If it's not fun, my brain can't do it. And I know that sounds childish and stupid, but it's just how some of our brains work. And so when it didn't feel fun anymore, I knew I had to change something. So for me, what that looked like is I had to stop filming and I had to stop writing toward a word count. And I just had to stop doing both of those things until the writing felt fun again. And if I'm being totally honest, that meant I just stopped writing and filming and everything entirely for 2 full weeks. Which I know like doesn't sound that bad, but before that, I was writing every single day. And 2 weeks was a long time to be away from my story, and I didn't miss it. And I think that is like a sign that I was doing things in a way that just like didn't work for me. But I am very happy to report that I forced myself to write like 2 weeks ago, and it felt like pulling teeth and it was horrible and I felt awful, and I was like, it was like my first moment of like, is this story even worth it? What am I even doing? And then another like 5 or 6 days went without writing, and then I wanted to write. And so I sat down and I wrote a little bit. And it wasn't a lot. I only had time for like 400 words, but I actually enjoyed them. And then last night I wrote like 2,000 words just because I felt like it. And then today I was sneaking in some writing before my therapy session and all of this stuff. So it's coming back, which is awesome. And I think something I need to like prep myself for is that it's going to come and go, right? And that I don't have to be beholden to write every single day because this isn't my full-time job yet. You know, like maybe when it is, I'll have to fight through that more and have to find ways to write even when I don't feel like it. But right now, I don't have to do that. I think a lot of people talk a really big game about discipline and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I think it's valuable to be able to do things you don't want to do. But I also think sometimes we overvalue it. I mean, what if we just let ourselves do the stuff we want to do? Sometimes I'm gonna want to play with my kids more than I'm gonna want to write my novel. And sometimes I'm gonna want to work on my business more than I want to write my novel. And sometimes I'm gonna have to make dinner or go to an event or whatever instead of writing my novel. And I'm tired of feeling bad for the choices I'm making. I think I need to just make the choices I make and just let myself feel good about them. And if I don't feel good about them, then that's not a reason to be ashamed. It's just a sign that maybe I need to start making slightly different choices. Like, I'm in this writing group called Working Title, which is amazing. We're looking for some new members, so if you want to join, I'll put the link in the description. But I'm in this group and we have coaching every Tuesday. And I was feeling really crappy showing up every Tuesday and saying like, yep, I didn't work on my novel again. Oh yeah, still didn't work on my novel. And so that was somewhat of a motivator to like, that's what got me to sit down and write the 400 words that felt like pulling teeth, right? Was like, okay, I just can't show up next week without having written again. I have to write something. And then, so I think accountability can go a long way, basically. And I thought I could use this channel for accountability, but I don't think that works for me, for my brain. I think accountability, I think I have enough of that with Working Title and with my husband and with some other writing friends. I think what I need this channel to be is a creative outlet where I get to talk about my writing, because I don't get to talk about my writing. I mean, I do with Working Title and my husband and my friends and stuff like that, but like, I love talking about this process and what this has been like and what I'm doing with the book and stuff like that. No, I don't want to give like spoilers or anything, but I love writing and I love books because there is so much in them and so many people can take it so many different ways. And I know so many teenagers hate that about like their English classes. They're like, what if the door's just blue because it's blue? It's never blue just because it's blue. Authors think about everything. And even if they don't, even if it wasn't intentional, if you took meaning from it, then that meaning is there. Okay, I know, total side rant, but basically what I'm saying is I have thought really hard about these themes and I have worked really hard to plant lots of amazing seeds that as I move into Act 2, Part 2, I'm hoping will start to flower. And I want to talk about it. So with all that in mind, where am I at with the book now? So I just finished Act 2, Part 1. So I just finished up the midpoint and we just had the bombshell moment. Well, not quite. We had like the pre-bombshell moment that our main character thinks is the bombshell, but she's about to get another one that's a lot bigger. But she thinks she just hit the bombshell. So we just finished our midpoint, which was so amazing to write. I have no idea if it's gonna stay in this order. I have a feeling the section I just wrote may need to move somewhere else, but I don't care. That's not for this draft. For this draft, it's just about getting it out. And this is going to be a pivotal scene no matter where it ends up in the final draft. This general gist, this vibe of this scene has to be in this book. And so that felt really good to write and to know that some iteration of this is going to be in the final draft. Whether it's these exact words, this exact situation, these exact characters, I don't know, but I know that this vibe has to be in there. And so it felt really good to find that. And now we are moving into Act 2, Part 2, which is where the world is kind of gonna get turned upside down again, right? So we've got Act 1, which is like, here's the normal world, and then something happens that like flips the world over. And then when we get to Act 2, Part 2, the world is gonna like sink into the abyss a little bit, right? And I'm sad because I don't wanna do that to my main character. I really like her and I want good things for her, but the only way she's gonna get the good things she needs is if she goes through this really, really kind of harrowing transformation. And I feel bad. I feel bad putting her through this, but at the same time, like, she needs it. And maybe she doesn't need this, but this is how to convey the theme in the story that I want to convey. And she is going to still get what she needs. It's just, it's gonna be hard. So anyway, I feel bad for her. I feel like a lot of writers, we feel guilty. We don't want to torture our characters, but also, like, life is not sunshine and rainbows. And so if we want to tell a story that feels true, there has to be parts that are hard. And so anyway, I've been kind of putting off writing Act 2, Part 2 because it does get so much more serious and so much more like heavy. Leading up to this point, it's been much more lighthearted. Like there have been hints at heavier themes, but it's been dealt with in a much more lighthearted way. And now we're gonna have to really dig into things. And I'm just nervous I'm not gonna do it justice. I'm nervous for my character. I don't want her to go through it. And yeah, I've just been putting it off, but I think it's time. I'm feeling good about the story. Like I said, writing that scene at the midpoint felt really good. It was just this moment of like, this is going to be in the final draft in some iteration. And that felt, that feels good. And I might be wrong, but I feel like I hit on a core theme, a core part of the book. So that was cool. And I guess if I give myself permission to go into Act 2, Part 2, I might stumble upon some more of those core moments, you know, because as we get deeper, we're gonna really start exploring those themes. And so I'm just nervous. I'm worried I won't do it justice. I'm worried I'm not gonna do it well, but this is the first draft. Of course I'm not gonna do it well. That's literally the fucking point. So it is 7:53. It is just about 8 p.m. and I am going to hop onto a writing live stream that I believe is going on with Lindy Zhang and Becca Tobar and Natalie Jane Shields. I hope they're still doing a live because I think it would be really helpful for me to do some sprinting with folks. So I am gonna give that a shot. And if not, I'll just turn on some, you know, old-timey Christmas music playing in the next room, YouTube, and try to get writing because I think I'm ready.
Flow state like what we just did, or for 30 minutes, or flow state for the whole book.
Hi, hello, and welcome to a new segment of the vlog called Wrap and Yap because it is the holiday season, hence my Christmas PJs and the Christmas tree. And I have a lot of gifts to wrap, but also I want to update you all on how my writing went the other night and where I am with the draft now. So we're gonna wrap and we're gonna yap. So the other night I officially hit the midpoint, which was devastating, if I'm being honest. Basically, I know a lot of writers struggle with the fun and games, and I totally get it and understand. And also, I had a lot of fun with the fun and games. I had fun slowing down and like letting the characters breathe and be. And it's not that I'm not having fun with the more action stuff, but it's sad for them. I'm sad for them. And I'm just feeling like we're entering into a completely different part of the novel, which we are. You know, Act 2, Part 2 is, the reason Act 2 is split into 2 parts is because they are so thematically and tonally distinct, you know? So it's just like, I don't want everything to change yet. I want to give them more time. And I think that's how I know it is time to write the midpoint, because I originally got to the midpoint a while back and I realized I was rushing it. It was like, oh, I'm at about 35,000 words. I should write the midpoint. And I just was like, no, not quite. And so I went back, I wrote some more of the fun and games. I wrote some more of the, I don't want to say filler, it's not filler, but some of the slower parts. And now I'm hitting the midpoint and it doesn't feel rushed. It feels like it's right on time and I'm just resisting. And so that's kind of, I think, good, right? Like, I hope that's a good thing. Hopefully, you know, the idea is that we don't want our readers to want the action to happen. We want them to be in the moment with us. So yeah, I don't know. Where's my pen? And I feel like the midpoint is where a lot of the seeds that I've been planting for the theme are going to start materializing in very like literal ways. Because so far, you know, our themes have been very broad and hinted at, but never like explicitly stated. Although of course we do have the theme stated early on from Save the Cat. So there is someone who's going to kind of say the theme real quick, but it'll be glossed over. But the midpoint is where a lot of those theme elements start manifesting. So the theme of Project Star Stuff, one of the major themes is, what do we do with bad people? What do we do with them? What is their role in society? We can't just murder everyone who fucks up. So what do we do with bad people? What do we do with people when they've screwed up? Maybe when they aren't sorry? What happens? in their relationships, but also in society as a greater whole. For those of you who don't know, I, in addition to being a writer, I am also a life coach and content creator for autistic and ADHD adults. I think I mentioned that earlier in this video, actually. But I have been creating on TikTok for a long time, and I love TikTok. I love being a content creator. I love all of that stuff, but I have seen some really ruthless behavior from people who think that they're protecting some kind of greater good by canceling another human being. And I used to agree. And then, you know, something similar happened to me, and I felt so betrayed and alone, and like I wasn't allowed to be a person. I wasn't allowed to screw up without getting completely and totally ousted from the community that I thought I had built, you know? And I knew I wasn't ready to talk about this kind of stuff, what's the word, like literally in a nonfiction sense. But I also knew I wanted to write about it in some capacity. And so fiction it is. And I'm not saying we need to like kumbaya forgive everybody. But I also don't think just getting rid of human beings or discarding them from community is the answer either. I don't really know what the answer is. And I think this novel is going to kind of reflect that uncertainty, and instead of saying here's the answer, here's what we do with bad people, I want the book to be more of a like encourage the reader to reflect on what do you think the options are if it's not murder or discarding people from society, like, or banishment, like what is the answer? And I kind of want the novel to explore some possibilities without giving necessarily like a direct answer, partially because I don't fucking know what the answer is. And to be honest, I don't think anybody does. I think if we knew the answer, that's what we would do. I have a lot of, maybe that's, you know, naive or optimistic, but I think if we knew what to do, like the best thing to do when someone screws up, I think we would do it. Or someone would be doing it. Someone would be talking about it. And maybe somebody is, and I'm not in their world yet, but I want to spark some more conversations around this stuff, because I think with the internet age, I guess, that we're in, we have access to more people than we've ever had access to before, and we have access to people's personas and opinions at a rate that we've never had before, and it's only getting more and more and more. And I think we need to start finding some solutions for this shit, because I consider myself like a leftist, not really a liberal. I'm further left than that. I consider myself a leftist, and I see the left eating itself, frankly, and it's upsetting because these are the people I'm politically aligned with, but they don't seem to understand how to build community or coalitions. And I'm not saying I'm any better. Like I said, I don't know the answer, but it is like something I want to draw attention to, because I am a firm believer that like the right as it exists in America today is fascism, and we have to resist that. And I think the answer lies in politics that are further left. But we can't actually enact any of those answers if we're busy fighting each other. Oh my gosh, I'm not rapping anymore, I'm just yapping. All right. But yeah, so that's like the core of this book, and we really haven't touched on any of that yet in part one. I mean, it's like, I'll probably have to go back and add some stuff in, to be honest, to make sure it is really getting, like, to make sure I'm planting the seeds I think I'm planting. But this midpoint is the moment where it's like, oh, like the theme becomes apparent in a way that it really wasn't before. I don't want to say it's like a gotcha moment. I don't like that. It's more of just like, hey, you thought you knew what was going on, you didn't, which is a huge theme in like cancel culture. Like people think they know everything about this bad person who did a bad thing. And I'm not saying people never screw up. Oh, sorry, I have to get more tape. I'm not saying people never screw up or that some people aren't bad. Like they definitely might be. Oh, I'm out of this tape too. Anyway, I'm not saying that everyone is like a perfect little angel who's just misunderstood. Some people do bad things, and I think we do need to reckon with that. But I also think sometimes people on the cancel crusade think that they know everything about the situation, and they don't. Okay, we're actually out of tape, so I guess we're done with the rapping, and I will wrap up the yapping as well. Anyway, the midpoint is really what kicks off the heart of what is going to happen here. Act 1 was set up, Act 2 Part 1 was set up, and the midpoint is that first domino falling. And the reader is not sure where it's going, at least I hope. That, like, it's not a mystery really, but I also want them to be in the moment with us and not... I don't want it to be super obvious, oh, this is what's gonna happen, this is how everyone's gonna feel about it. And I do worry that I've maybe done a little too much setup in that we know the characters so well that they're gonna be able to predict exactly how everyone's gonna feel about this, but we'll see, we'll play with it. It's a first draft, it's supposed to suck. So anyway, the midpoint really kicks stuff off and it's stressful. It's just a completely different world. And I felt this way when I went from Act 1 to Act 2, you know, but I've really enjoyed Act 2 Part 1. Like I've had so much fun writing it, and I'm like very hesitant to move into the more action-oriented pieces, even though those are the scenes I have visualized in my head like over and over and over. I'm still nervous. Like I guess I don't want to screw it up. And I think I was saying this before actually in the last clip where I was yapping about how I want to make sure I'm doing it justice. Because, you know, like these themes, they matter to me a lot. Like they're very personal, but also I think they're important for our society as a whole. And I want to do it right. I want to do a good job, and I'm nervous, which is fine. It's a first draft. It's supposed to suck. It's supposed to be bad. If you think your first draft is good, you spent way too long on the prose, in my opinion. Obviously, every writer's different. For me, though, like I can't be spending a ton of time on the prose because it's all going to change. It's all going to change, at least for me in my writing style. So... I'm just having so much fun writing this book, to be honest. Like, I'm having so much fun. And I think I'm worried we're getting into the part that I'm not going to have fun writing anymore because it is so much heavier. But that's okay. Maybe it'll be fun in a different way. Maybe fun is the wrong word. It'll be fulfilling instead of fun. And that is good, too. So, okay. I need to go buy more tape so that I can finish wrapping tomorrow night, or I won't finish wrapping tomorrow night, but keep wrapping tomorrow night. And that is pretty much it for this vlog. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'm sorry for dropping out on the daily videos, but yeah, my priority is my kids and my husband, and then my business, and then my novel. And sometimes that sucks, but also it doesn't. Like, I'm thrilled to have 3 beautiful kids that I love so much and a husband who's so amazing that, like, I want to prioritize them. I'm thrilled that I have a job that I like, that I want to prioritize. You know, I don't think putting the novel third is, like, me giving up on my dreams. I think me putting the novel third is just evidence of how lucky I am, to be honest, to have such, like, a full life. I don't know. I'm feeling very grateful tonight, I guess, for the life that I have. So anyway, that is the end of this vlog. I will see you all next week.